Hey there, and welcome to this new class. Today, we're going to be talking about how to download and catalog the photos we did the other day on the outside. And we'll see how we want to rename them and filter them before putting them into development in Camera Raw. Firstly, we're going to open the program, Adobe Bridge. That's the one that we're going to use to let us see where the photos are, edit them, filter them, catalog them, decide which ones that we've done we're going to put on the computer and which ones we aren't. In this case, I'm going to open the hard drive or the card where the photos are. We have them here, and here is the file that has the photos that we've taken. Okay, the appearance of Bridge, the first time we open it, can be different from the one you're seeing here right now. It depends what your user interface that you've chosen in that moment is. Right now, we're in preview mode, but we can choose the essentials mode, the film strip mode, the output mode, the light table mode, etc., etc., etc. Most of all, I use the visualization modes. I use two pretty much. One is the film strip mode and the other is the light table. In the light table, we're going to see all of the photos that are in the file, in this case the file that we have made in the digital camera. In the film strip mode, well, there are a series of panels that you'll see how we can move them, change them, make them a little bigger or a little smaller in a bit, okay? I have here a number of panels open. The panels are taken from here, from the window menu. Here there are a lot of panels that we can use, and also going here to this part here, the dark gray area here, right-clicking and choosing the panel we want to see. I have this configuration. I have 5 panels open: the content panel, the preview panel, the folders panel, the filter panel, and the metadata panel. But as there are more available, we could use any of them. I have these 5 because they're the ones I think are essential for whoever wants to properly catalog their work or filter their photos or preview them correctly before moving them to the hard drive. Don't forget, we're still seeing these photos here in miniature. This photo here, previewed in large, it's a photo that's still on the memory card. This card is connected to the computer through a USB cable, and what we want to do is choose what photos from the ones we did the other day on the street are going to be put on the computer and which ones aren't going to go onto the computer. In this case, in this file here below, it tells me the number of photos there are. In this case, there's 16 photos, but there could be 300 of a trip or 1,000 of a job or who knows. And obviously, we're not going to put all of these photos we take on a trip or we do for a job on the computer. We're just going to use the ones we want, the best looking ones. And the rest can be discarded. Okay, so let's look at how we tidy the program's appearance first. So that it looks like how I have it, or so you can put it in a way however you need it to be. In each panel, we can click where the words that define it are. Here I've clicked on the content panel. I've moved it from the right a little to the left. And there's a gap here now that we could fill, right-clicking here and telling the program that we want to put in the keywords panel. Okay, if I want to put the content panel here, I just have to click and drag and drop it here. If I want the keyword panel to the left, well, I can take it here. And if I put the folders panel here, well, it stays there. The ideal thing is to have the folders panel open because it allows us to click and go to the folder where our photos are. The content panel that shows us the content in miniature, we can make them bigger or smaller here below. And we also have the filter panel, where we can filter our content in this file through all of these values. And then we have the metadata that tells us the information on the photo we're previewing. Here in the keywords panel, well, for now, we're not going to touch it very much. Maybe later we can use it more, so I'm going to close it for now. I'm going to put the folder panel up here, and Down here, we're going to have the filters, the metadata, and the content panel. It's going to go, well, the content panel is going to go here to the right. I like to have it like this, and I don't like to have the content panel as its default down here, because in default down here and the preview panel up here, it makes it so there isn't much space left or less space to see the amplified photo. So default, this is normally here when one clicks for the first time on film strip. And what I have to do is open this tab here on the right, clicking and dragging and leaving some space to take the content there. This way we get this preview window bigger, and I can see what the photo needs or where we're going to keep it or not. I'm going to amplify the miniatures a little, enough to be able to see the name, where we can already see that here that these photos are all RAW. The name that Nikon gives its RAW archives is NF, whereas Canon calls them CR2 or input or CFF. Each manufacturer gives it a different nomenclature to its RAW files, or they have an encrusted code that's part of each brand. When we click on a photo, that photo is previewed here in large, and we can see the metadata of that photo. In this case, this photo has been taken with an f12 diaphragm, 125 shutter speed, and ISO on 100. The white balance is automatic, punctual measuring. This is the size of the pixels, wide and large, of the photo, the space the file takes up in its memory, and more information we can see here in the metadata, like camera model or in camera data. We can see if the flash has gone off, the kind of objective we used, the serial number and the model of the camera, the objective mode, and, more. That's for anyone who wants all the information. Well, you can find it clicking on any photo and looking for the metadata. In the filter panel, we can use this panel to filter the photos. It's really useful because we can make the photos so that they're shown depending on the values we're going to choose here, like the orientation, for example. The 16 photo we took, there are not a lot in this folder. I can see that 8 of them are in landscape and 8 are in portrait. So that's a way of filtering the portrait photos or the landscape photos. Another way we could filter is with the speed. We can see that there are 3 photos at 1/60th of a second, 1 photo at 1/200th of a second, 1 photo at 1/400th of a second, 2 at 1/160th of a second. We can also filter the photos through aperture settings. Here we've done 4 photos at 5.6. It would only show us the photos done with that diaphragm, 8 photos at f8, and 4 photos at f11. We can also see the focal length we've used. And there's 4 photos with 26mm, 2 taken with 24. This is for us to know a little what diaphragm we've used and what shutter speed or what focal lengths are used in certain moments. Most of all, when we take a lot of photos, this can be really useful. So, okay, in this case, the filter value isn't going to be super useful to us because we have in total here 16 photos. So here the filter isn't going to be very helpful. But when we have folders with a large number of photos, it's pretty more useful. What we're going to do now is choose from all of the photos we've taken outside. We're going to choose those ones that we're going to take to put on our hard drive to develop later. So I'm going to choose photos that have more light. In this case, this photo that we've taken at 1/400th of a second at 5.6. Photos with less light, this one, for example, that's been taken at 1.25 and f11, and this one that's been taken at, well, they have the same light. This one, for example, that's been taken at 1/100th and f8, 1/200, f8, and we can see how relevant to where the camera is pointed and the type of measurement it has, we're going to have a certain type of shutter speed and diaphragm. Okay, let's choose this one. Which is the one with the most light. To choose a photo that I'm going to put on my hard drive, I can catalog it using 2 methods. One is the star system. If we hit the Control key or the CMD key in Mac, and number 1, we'll see that it gets a star down here under the preview window and here in the miniature. If we hit 2, we'll see that it gets 2 stars, 3 stars, 4, and 5 stars. So visually, we can see that here there's a picture that stands out from the rest because it has those 5 stars. So later here in filter, we can see that there are 15 photos with no tags and one with a 5-star tag. We can give them star tags, or it can be through stars. To get rid of the stars, hit Command or Control plus 0, and they disappear. We can also catalog them or classify them by color. I prefer colors because they're more visually pleasing. We add in the colors with the same command or control, and the number 6 for the color red, number 7 for yellow, 8 for green, 9 for blue. Okay, let's say that we want the color green in our photos we want to use. We make a quick selection of around 6 photos to use later on in development. So looking at the metadata, I can see the ones I'm interested in. I'll take this one too. Let's see. This one has the same light. Here we can see some we did on the street with a little more differences in light. This one and this one have the same. Okay, so now I have 6 photos that we did on the street. Selected, cataloged with a marker. Here in the filter, I can tell it to show me the 6 green marked photos. The green marker comes default with a word assigned to that marker. Although the word doesn't mean anything to me, I prefer to see the green marker. But if you want to change that word, you can go to Preferences. In Mac, it's here. In Adobe Bridge Preferences. And in Windows, it's in Edit Preferences. So here you have the different preferences you can see here. And here in Raw Camera Preferences, or Camera Raw Preferences, we would have to go here to Tags. And here we would change the name of each one of the tags associated to a color. I'm going to leave it on default because, as I said, the name of the tag really doesn't mean anything to me. So what I want to do is click here on Filter and tell it to just show me the 6 photos I've tagged. And now to send the photo to the hard drive and see them and work them from the computer, what I'm going to do is select the 6 all together. To do this, I'm going to use the Command Control plus A and select all of the photos that we have in that moment in the content panel. If I want to do it manually, click, drag the mouse, and we can create a box that selects the 6 photos. I can also do it one by one with Command Control and clicking on the photos alternatively, one after the other. On the photos that I want to select. The simplest way is to just Control A to select them all. Now let's take them all to the hard drive. I'm going to take advantage to take them to the hard drive. It would be very simple clicking and dragging here to the hard drive and dropping them in the file that I want them to be in. But I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I'm taking the photos from the memory card to the hard drive to change them the name. To do this, we're going to go here in Tools, Batch Rename. So that's going to change all of their names, okay? Click and we'll get this window that will ask us where we want to rename the photos that we've selected. I'm going to tell it that we're going to rename them, copying them to another folder. Then choose here the file we want to copy the 6 photos to. I'm going to look for where they're going to go. In this case, they're going to go to a file that I prepared here. Okay, so let's see this real quick. Okay, and there I have the folder ready. Once I've done that, I'm going to give it a new name for all these files. We'll call it Camera Raw because, they're for the Camera Raw course. And a sequence number of 2 digits starting with 1. In a way that this file is going to become the Camera Raw file. I'll leave a space after. It's going to be camera raw 01.nef. The only thing we've done is change the name while we've moved it to the hard drive. It's a really simple way to change its name, taking advantage of the fact that we're moving the photos to do it quickly. I hit here rename, so it's going to copy these 6 files to that folder that we said earlier. And now we'll get those files in that folder. Let's check that. As soon as we're finished, the memory card I have here in the computer isn't needed here anymore. So I'm going to tell it to eject it. I can do this in Mac, but not in Windows. In Windows, you have to go to the Explorer and tell it to eject the card. Here, I can just click eject, and then it disappears. Now I'm going to go to my hard drive where the photos are. Let's go here, here, okay, here, and here are our photos. As you can see, here we have the photos we've just sent to the hard drive with their own green marker. There are some more photos in this folder because I had already prepared the photos we're going to work with in the course. Okay. So the first 6 photos have the name that we've just given them, camera raw 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, and 06. And they're the only ones in the folder that have a color marker. Okay, we don't need this marker anymore, so I'm going to select all 6 photos. I'm going to Control 8, and then we'll see the markers disappear. This way, we have all of the photos in this folder without a marker. If there are any that, for whatever reason, I want to give a marker to make it maybe stand out, like these 2, for example, that I'm going to use to compose a panoramic shot later on, I can hit Command to Control +6, for example, to give them a red marker to distinguish them, just like this one, because I'm not going to make a composition from the other photos. We could also use this one for a panoramic. So these 5 photos, these 2, and these 2 are going to have a red marker that is useful to differentiate them from the ones that aren't going to be used for a panoramic. This one is also good. So these 3 are going to have, the same marker. If there are any other photos that I'm going to work on, for example, to get an HDR, and there are 7 photos altogether, well, in this case, I can select the 7 and give them a marker as well. I'm going to give the marker number 9. That way, the photos I'm going to make an HDR with, I have some more here, I'm going to give them that marker. Marker number 9. And when there are a lot of photos, like in the case of HDR, where I need 5, 7, or 9, sometimes 11, and I don't want them to take up too much space because they're the same miniature, I don't want them to take up space here. That wouldn't let me see the rest of the different photos that are different. Another good thing that Bridge has in this scenario is that it allows me to stack a series of photos and only see one miniature, but it tells you the number of photos in the stack. This is done by selecting the photos I want to stack. Then I can go here where it says stack, and I tell it to group as stack. Then, now, the 6 photos have stacked up and are shown as just one miniature. And it tells me here with this number that there are 6 photos. If I want to see all 6, well, I just have to click here and click here to tell it to show me the 6 photos where it says 6. And then we have the miniature, it contracts or expands. I'm going to do the same thing with 5 photos for the panoramic. I'm going to tell it here to stack and group. I'm going to stack these 3. I'm going to stack the others as well. This stacking thing, when they're very similar, is really useful because we're going to have all the content panel a little better organized. At any moment, if I want to see the 7 photos that are stacked here, I just have to click on the 7 and the miniature will enlarge. But if I don't, it'll just be taking up too much space instead of 7. And this way we have everything a little better organized. Okay, to start developing a photo, we want to start developing this one, opening the camera raw. We have to open it, and we can do that with 2 procedures. One way, the simplest way, is to click here where it says Open in Camera Raw. But like sometimes that button is going to give us some problems, and we can click here and we won't get the camera raw, but there's a conflict between the program and the camera raw module. There's no problem because another way to open it is double clicking here on the miniature or pressing enter when we're over the miniature. Don't double click here because you'll open a preview window in 100% of the area of the photo. This window can help us to see how clear the image is or the illumination or, But if we don't want that then it's just bothering. Click on the cross and close it. If we want to open a photo in Camera Raw, the easiest thing to do is to hit this symbol or to right-click on the miniature and telling it to open it in Camera Raw. If not, we can also tell it to open it in Photoshop CC. I'm going to tell it to open it in Camera Raw. Click. We'll open the Camera Raw module, and this module can have an appearance in the same color or a bit lighter than Bridge. It could even be a little darker. I'm going to tell it to cancel. Bridge has a dark gray appearance, and when I open the photo in Camera Raw, I can see that the gray stays. If I wanted to change the appearance because I wanted a clearer interface, in Bridge, you can go to Preferences. I can choose where it says Interface, and I can choose here a color theme. Maybe a lighter green or a lighter background. Hit OK. Make it all a bit whiter. Maybe make it all black. Although it's recommendable to have a medium gray that isn't too dark or too light. I like to have it like this so that it doesn't interfere with the photo's light. In Camera Raw, well, as you can see, the appearance is also changed, and it's similar. Maybe the same gray as the one we have in Bridge. So if we change here in Preferences, Interface, and we can put in the background color we want, maybe black, maybe white, keeping in mind that the darker, due to contrast, the photo will look lighter. And the lighter we have it, the darker the photo is going to look. Okay, let's go again to Camera Raw to see the appearance, a little of the program. Up here, we can see the version of the program I'm using, in this case 10.1. The camera model I used to take the photo. This button here will allow me to change the view I have from expanded Camera Raw or contracted. I'm going to expand it for now, and let's see the characteristics of the program. Here we have a series of panels under the histogram, under the basic info of the shot, that are the ones we're going to use to shape our development of the photo. We'll be degrading it throughout the course, and the basic is the fundamental one. Here we have the histogram, the graphic representation of the pixels or light of a photograph. The left, the darker part, and the right, the lighter part of the photo. With its corresponding 3 basic colors, red, blue, and green, that when we mix them give the secondary colors. Up here we have the tools. Here we have the photo that takes up all of this window. We can see the photo in a larger size. Click on these regulators here. They're going to let us put the photo at a size we want to put it, and maybe bigger to see the pixels, or smaller, or even smaller even. We can use the plus and the minus buttons here on the left, or we can also use the keys on the keyboard, so it'd be Control, Command, and the plus minus keys to make them bigger or smaller, respectively. Okay, so we have a lot of ways to encase our photos in the frame. So making it bigger or smaller. I'm going to leave it here to fit it into view, so the photo will take up the entire window here. Here we have the same image button that would help me save the photo when we're done developing it. Here it tells me the name of the photo and the camera model, the settings on the photo when I open it in Photoshop, okay, the cancel button, and the done button. To differentiate between the cancel and the done button, when we make a change in the photo to maybe give more or less light, for example, I'm going to make this one dark. If I hit cancel, we go back to bridge and nothing's happened to the photo. But if I open it in Camera Raw and I make a change to the photo and I hit done, the changes are going to be previewed in bridge too. Nothing actually happened to the photo because as it's a raw file, any change we make to the photo, whether that be give it more light or less light, put it in black and white, or make any change, it won't interfere with the raw file. It's just a preview that the program makes to show us how the photo would look if, for example, we lower it 2.75 on the exposition or exposure. So if we hit done, the changes in the photo are going to have an effect if they go up or they go down, and then what we can do is preview what the photo would look like for now. But repeating it, it doesn't affect the raw file that can be restored in any moment. Okay, in the next lesson, we're going to see how to make a basic development of a raw file, and how to start using the main tools like to save a version of the photo with a basic development. So, I'll see you guys in the next class, okay? Hope you enjoyed it. See you later!